What you hear in the background is one of the best naturally aspirated production engines ever made. And if you think that this is a Porsche 911, you would be wrong. This is my Mountain Everest. This is the biggest challenge I've ever taken. After spending years trying to prove that our garage-built track cars are the way to go, I'm gonna question everything. This of course means huge financial risk. But it's not that simple, because in the wrong conditions, this car can be downright deadly. Okay, so let's do this. We are gonna need a few props. What do you know about me? You know I like bad financial choices and old classic cars that leak oil. But there is much more into this. If I had to describe myself, I would say I'm a guy that loves cars. Before everything, I'm this. And my engineering studies as a background always led me to believe that I'm gonna be one of these guys that they're gonna build cool cars. Clearly, since you're watching this video, this didn't exactly happen. Which brings us to the next important thing, that is this paper thing. Do you remember this? It's called magazines, and it is this medium that combines cool stories with amazing photography in one. For me, magazines was my window to the world. I was following the Japanese tuning culture. I was seeing what was happening in the UK with Max Power. And since I was always a track guy, I was always paying close attention to the UK scene with all these track specials. And through this passion, photography, I found myself making a living in magazines. I found myself shooting professionally for a big publishing company that used to cover the tuning culture, which is something that I was very interested in, but also had like big legacy titles like Evo magazine, a car magazine. And I still cherish these years as some of the best of my life. However, as this media thing was taking off, I found myself shooting more and more other things. And it was in a random conversation with one of my very good friends. That friend was Kostas of the Ring Dorito fame, which also joined me there a few years later. He was planning to leave everything behind and move at the Nürburgring and live and work there. And I thought like, this is so amazing. And he stopped me right there and he said like, man, this is what you should be doing. You keep saying how you want to do like more cars, then this is your chance. And just like that, I found myself with a ticket in my hands to Germany, ready to take a trip that would change my life. Arriving at the Nürburgring, it was everything I expected and then some. It was a full attack on the senses, everything you can imagine, from the racing, all the small privateer teams, the big factory GT3 cars, the N24 craziness, and then all the classic stuff, amazing events like the old-timers, and having exposure to all this amazing metal that you normally would see only in the pages of magazines. Plus, on any given day, you felt you were part of the world's biggest cars and coffee, only better. Because when the people would finish their coffee, they would go on for a quick drive on the world's coolest toll road. So for the first time in a very long time, I felt I belonged somewhere. And that was thanks to our small group of misfits. Andrea, Gab, Sergio, and the rest of what became the One Lap Heroes team. The big failures, the accidents, and the long nights. In a way, everything felt possible when we were all together. They say make your passion your work and you will never have to work a day in your life. What they don't tell you is that you might never stop working. And this is exactly what happened to me in my first couple of years in Germany. I was out there shooting through the day, editing late nights in the office, trying to create some of the best work that I could. I got some amazing opportunities. I got to capture some amazing cars and meet some amazing people. But at the same time, I realized that there was a problem. I was there to capture the passion of other people, but not to reignite mine. I found myself moving to Germany to drive more, but I was living a very Spartan lifestyle. Like I was wearing the same one pair of jeans, one pair of shoes, eating frozen pizza, living like the simplest life that I could. And yet these dream cars of mine that I really, really wanted, every year they were a little bit more expensive and a little bit more expensive. So I was actually never gonna be able to afford them. And then I realized that the only person that had power to break this circle, in reality, it was me. So in these strange times, I had to find an unorthodox solution. This is a story that I normally only share with my very close friends. It was one of these days. It was in Germany and it was miserable, and I was driving to this village of Adenau and I said, I know how I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna take a loan. So I park my car, enter the bank and ask the good people there, what is the biggest loan you can give me? They look at me like I'm crazy, which probably I am, and then they give it to me. But you see, buying things doesn't make your life instantly better. But with that money, I went and bought what I thought at least would be the solution to all my problems. My dream car.
The last time we were together, but we actually went to look for a car, I told you specifically to not buy it.
And I bought it.
And you bought it. I don't know if you regret it.
I think it was one of the best things that happened for Olapiros, no?
Yes, for you privately, I don't know. We are talking about the Multipla. The last time we were together, when we went to look for a car, we went to look for the Multipla. And although I told him specifically, do not buy this car, buy a Multipla, it's okay. I have no problem. He went and bought it. So today I'm there again to be the bad cop.
Do you remember that you borrowed me money for the Multipla? I didn't even have money to pay it. And
this is something that should have not been disclosed. I have been also an enabler, yes, a financial enabler on that.
But today is the opposite. Today the opposite is happening. I said to Sergio,
I have offered my services, my financial services.
Yeah, but I told you. I want the opposite. I want you to not enable me. If you see anything that you don't like, if you think that this is too much, if you think that this is the wrong decision, like, stop.
Okay.
I have done enough stupid things in my life. What Sergio doesn't know is that we're on our way to check Europe's cheapest GT3.
He actually hasn't approached the car yet. He hasn't seen it in the flesh. I mean, yes, it's there, but he hasn't really seen the car. So you're actually going to see his honest impressions. So let's have a look at that.
Yes. You have one reason not to
do it, exactly.
You have one to do it. Yes, follow your heart and
you got something around.
So I put something in between, so that way nothing can get on. It's like I said, if my best friend would ask me, can I buy it from you? I would say yes, of course, because I'm 100% confident that it's okay.
So, first impressions.
I know the problem. The problem is that I want the car. So.
Easy.
We said more interesting than the cable.
Neighborhood and then.
Serge, we're going to be back in a minute.
Yeah. Costa's jumping and grabbing the seatbelt straight is news to me. He might be changing after all.
"50 minutes later, we were back, and I knew that taking that test drive was the biggest mistake I've ever done. Okay, that's the moment you can record. I absolutely love it. Like, I shouldn't have driven it. We went very slowly. It started raining. We were very, very polite, and it's fantastic. It's very, very tactile. The shifter is very cool. You know, like a difficult and manual and analog, but it's very
Mechanical,
cool.
yeah.
The engine pool is fantastic. Like, actually, if I wouldn't buy the car, someone should buy the car because really, the engine is very cool. The whole thing is. Money changed hands, and a few days later, I was back there to pick up the car. Slightly afraid that this might have been the biggest mistake I've ever done. It is noisy, it has the lightweight flywheel, it's tricky to drive. I'm not 100% comfortable with the KS shifter, everything is very close. I have never felt more uncomfortable driving a car like that. Welcome to GT3 owning problems. Consider remaining range. It looks like there is no fuel.
If it's too much, we continue. I don't know where, because there is basically no fuel. I will give you the price of the fuel. The price that nobody wants to see, it's there. The price is $249.9.
Barely having enough money to drive the car home, I felt equal parts scared and excited. But the most terrifying thing would actually be the moment we would check the car on the workshop lift. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna pretend that everything was easy, because it wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. There was a lot of struggling, a lot of things went wrong, and don't take it for a minute that this is financial advice. Like, if anything, I recommend you to not get in debt. Do not buy the cheapest 911 possible. And I will detail all these things in the coming videos. Like, we're gonna speak about like real world costs and what problems my very cheap 911 had.
So Kostas came again with a car. He's actually with the car here the second time, and I'm actually impressed because he bought a car which is good. Normally when he comes with a car, so he said, I bought a new car, can you have a look at it? I'm already like, oh fuck no, another shitbox. Like the Multipla where the windscreen was nearly falling out. So it was like just glued on two corners. When you push it, you are afraid when you brake that the windscreen flies away. And they came also with the ring banana. And now he comes with a beautiful 997 GT3, which is actually quite good conditions, low mileage, the car is okay. So he came now the second time, he was already here last week, and we checked the car, we found some exhaust bolts loose, nothing big, just small things like tightening up bolts, putting a new bolt in. And then we topped up a bit the coolant, because the radiator were changed recently, and coolant level was a bit low, so we topped it up. And then he drove a bit, and the coolant level was again low, so he came again today, that we have a proper look at it and check it. So we did a CO test, which was completely fine. So we pressurized the whole system with 1.3 bar, and we didn't find any leak, so the car should be completely fine. So I can't find any leak or something. The car is actually good to go on track, and I love it. The color combination is really nice, like the white with that bit of green, but it's really cool. And yeah, it's actually also one of my dream cars, and he bought it now.
Putting the 911 plates in the car somehow made it feel real. This was my GT3. Finally, I had my passion for cars sort of reignited, and that is partly the topic of this video. It is not the car itself, but being able to have something that would challenge me to go and study and learn and try to think how I would build this car and what I could create with this base was basically all I needed to be out there and drive more, because you need sometimes the motivation, you need the car that will challenge you. If you managed to follow the storyline up until now, I want to thank you very much for your patience. I hope you found it interesting. Maybe you found yourself in a situation like that you were stuck in work and you needed something to escape. Maybe you had a similar situation with a dream car that you really wanted and you managed to acquire it. If you have a similar experience, feel free to leave it below in the comments. Or maybe you had one that you didn't manage and you can still share it with us and we can discuss a little bit about life, project car life, and even discuss how one could create the ultimate 911. I know this sounds maybe too big for the scope of the video, but I promise there is more in this project than meets the eye. See you next week.